All right. Speaking of frustration,
Oh, God.
Producer Harry, let's roll the tape, and then we'll come back on the other side if Jamar Chase has some words.
I'm open. I'm always excuse my profanity. I'm sorry.
Richie is always open. And my point is that unless he's pass blocking, and that was Jamar Chase, of course, talking about his frustration with the Bengals offense, which just looked like the Steelers offense on drugs. I mean, that's how bad they are playing. You cannot go into Tennessee and play that way against a Titans team where Ryan Tannehill is perpetually on the ropes, and yet they did. So I'll ask you first about Jamar Chase's comments. I understand the frustration. I don't take anything away from it other than he's angry, and understandably so. But then I want to hear about your medical prognosis, and you are a medical doctor on the Pick Six podcast. Nowhere else. So don't ask for medical advice if you see breach out in the street. But your medical diagnosis on Joe Burrow's calf, should he be on the shelf? And did that have anything to do with his spectacularly crappy play today?
Look, we both know that I went online and paid $89 for a medical degree. So I am a doctor, Wilson. Thank you. Look, I am highly concerned. And, I wrote that story before the Monday night game about how they should maybe think about put Joe Burrow on injured reserve, let him sit out for 4 weeks and let the calf heal. They did not do that. This was a product of that. Yes, you beat the Rams. Then you asked your quarterback, who was hobbled with a bad calf, to turn around on a short week, play in a road game against a team with a pretty ferocious pass rush. And the thing is, Joe Burrow, he can't escape. He is back there. He's immobile. It is like his feet are glued to the ground. This isn't Joe Burrow of last year who can escape and make plays in situations like that. If the offensive line, if a defensive lineman blows by the offensive line, Burrow's done. There's nothing for him to do. It's just the play's over and the Bengals aren't going to do anything. And that was happening all day. This wasn't a situation where Burrow got sacked 14 times. He only got sacked 3 times. But
yeah, he got hit. He got hit like 12 times though.
Right, but he got hit a bunch because the Titans were just in his face the entire game. And this is what's going to happen anytime they play a team with a good pass rush. So what do you do when they played the 49ers in 3 weeks? If Burrow's calf isn't better by then, thank God it's out of a bye, so maybe he can survive. But that team is going to just beat them up. Then they play the Bills, who will have Von Miller back. That team is going to beat up their offense. So it's just very worrisome knowing that it's hard to see this offense improving much as long as Burrow is hobbled. And unless that thing magically gets fixed during their bye, which is 2 weeks from now, in week 7.
Disrespecting you on YouTube, Breach.
Yeah, it is tough. And Harry's popping up here with the fewest points scored through 4 games in Bengals history. And this is one of the worst.
And I mean, yeah, this is, right, but the Bengals, like, when you talk about history of being terrible, the Bengals have a really long history of being really terrible. I mean, there was this little stretch with Andrew Gregory Dalton, your boy, where they were good. And then you have Carson Palmer where they were good. And then, of course, Boomer, our colleague. And now you have Burrow. But, like, the Bengals were the laughingstock of the league for a long, long time.
For a decade.
What's that?
For a decade, from 1992 to 2002.
Right. So when you're talking about worst starts in Bengals history scoring-wise, that's pretty bad.
So, Brent, so let me ask you this, and I don't know how Breach feels about it, but he's a doctor, so we'll find out in a second. But do you get the sense, just on the outside looking in, that Zach Wilson needs to take control and tell Joe Burrow, you're not playing no matter what? Zach Taylor. Who did I say?
Zach Wilson.
No, Zach Wilson should definitely call him too. So Zach Taylor take control and say, you're not playing in much the same way that Mike Shanahan did not with RG3 back in the day. RG3 got hurt his rookie season, had that great rookie season, never played at the same level. Hold on.
But by the way,
before Brinson answers that, can I just say Zach Taylor's part of the problem. He has Joe Burrow out there when it's 27-3 in the fourth quarter. Like, your quarterback's already banged up, man. Put him on the sideline, put him on ice. There's no reason for him to take these hits. It was just, I was literally pulling out my hair.
Yeah.
With Joe Burrow in the fourth quarter.
If you start, like, it was like Paul Dehner Jr., a friend of the podcast, and one of our buddies who covers the Bengals for The Athletic. He's like, what is happening here? This is insane.
So let me ask you then, what is your plan with Joe Burrow then? I guess that's the
question. So a couple of things. One, I don't know if I was filling up my water in my wine when the Jamar Chase thing played. Did you guys talk about how the context for that, where it's like he's not. Like, if you listen to the full quotes that Jamar Chase gave, this was not like him like talking smack about Joe Burrow or anything. Like, he wasn't.
No,
like,
we took it as him being frustrated with the whole.
No, but it was. I don't think it was nearly as as bad as it was. But yeah, I'm saying like that's just the context of it. I was digging into it a little bit deeper. Wanted to point that out so Jamar Chase doesn't get thrown under the bus, but that quote will be the one that pops up. My plan for Burrow is pretty easy. You're not playing again until after the bye. Sit him down, try and beat the Cardinals and the Seahawks without Burrow, get him healthy, because we talked about this before the season. The Bengals were one of the teams in the NFL, the Bengals and the Chiefs and the Bills, and I guess we didn't think about the Niners, but they would probably qualify. The Eagles, maybe. It's like anything less than a Super Bowl win is a disappointing season.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They're not going to the playoffs. Breach, what's their playoff percentage chance according to you?
I mean, I'm not ready to go that far, but I think as far as benching him until after the bye, I think that ship has sailed, because if you were going to do it, you need to do it.
He's hurt
last week before the Rams game. But here's the thing: is if you are a Bengals fan,
or do it this week before we beat the Rams and be like, all right, we're gonna try and go 2-1 without Burrow until the bye, and then get him a month where he's getting healthy.
Right, but now that you've played him here, because if you bench Burrow right here and you lose your next 2 games, you go 1-3, then you wasted it. You should have done it before, because 0-4, 1-3 doesn't make a difference. You let him sit. If you had let him sit those 4 weeks,
right. You'd be 1-5. You'd be done anyway.
No, at this point, the Bengals.
Let me ask you this, Breach.
Yes.
If you're thinking long-term about Joe Burrow's health, yes, you may not go to the playoffs this year, but at least he will be able to walk down the street in preparation for next year. But you're going to get him beat all to hell, because on some 5% chance that you make the playoffs, you're willing to take that risk?
Well, if I'm thinking like Zach Taylor, who again had this guy in the fourth quarter, then yes, I'm absolutely willing to take this risk. And here's the thing. Here's what I think the Bengals thought process is that if you have Joe Burrow at 80%, 85%, 75%, whatever he's at right now, I think they can probably beat the Cardinals. And who knows if they can. The Cardinals have been frisky. Yeah, that's not by any means a lock. And I think they can beat the Seahawks at home in a 10 a.m. game on Seattle's body clock in Cincinnati. And if you win those games, then you're probably not going to win without Burrow. And so if you just split those games with Burrow and get 2 weeks off, that's it. That's your option. So you have to keep playing them.
Yeah, that's fair. All because it's like if you look at these games and you say, okay, we have at Arizona, Seattle at home before the bye, and then at San Francisco, Buffalo at home after the bye. If you sit Burrow until the bye, you lose. You go 1-1 even you get lucky, go 1-1, and then you lose with Burrow out of the bye against San Francisco and Buffalo. Like it's over.
I'm putting him on the bench because I care about his well-being. I don't know if you're Duke Tobin, the general manager, you have to tell Zach Taylor to bench him, or maybe Duke's in on. I don't know, but it feels like to me. And Mike Brown is known as being cheap. Is that correct, Breach?
He does have frugal. A reputation. Not yet for being frugal. It hasn't been as bad.
Do you think
he just gave the guy a $275 million contract? A cheap person doesn't do that, Ryan.
My point is this: if you want to pay someone $55 million a year, do you want them out there taking hit after hit for no clear reason?
No.
If you're cheap and want to avoid the contract, sure.
But there's a clear reason, because if you're gonna save your season, you've got to win one of these next 2 games.
Over.
It is not over. That's ridiculous.
All right, 10 seconds. Brinson, anything take from the Titans? You feel good about them at all, as in terms of their competitiveness in that division?
I think the AFC South is wide. I think there's a chance we get 2 teams in the playoffs from the AFC South. There you go. That's a hot take. Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Houston all have had these moments where they've looked pretty decent. We had the Jets who lose Rodgers. The Bengals are 1-3 because Burrow's been banged up. All this different stuff is happening in the AFC that's really kind of opening up one of these playoff spots, these wildcard spots for a team that we certainly didn't think had a chance of getting in. And I think it might be somebody from the AFC South, because like Jacksonville's looked good, but they looked bad. The Colts have looked really good at various points in time and could easily be 3-1. And then you have the Titans, who offensively aren't exactly sexy, but they are the definition of a Mike Vrabel team.
I don't even know.
Yeah, and real quick, so for instance, this was like a Vrabel fantasy game where his defense beat up the other quarterback. Derrick Henry goes for over 100 yards, and every week he crosses his fingers hoping Ryan Tannehill will have a huge game, and Tannehill played lights out. And if Tannehill plays well, this team's good. So it really hinges on whether or not
you got
Derrick Henry had more passing touchdowns than Joe Burrow.
You got Derrick Henry doing the Tim Tebow.